5 things that you shouldn't gig without. Now this could be a somewhat subjective list, you may agree or disagree, and I could just as easily make another video of 5 more things to not gig without. But here's my list, here are my 5 things that I always like to have with me. These are things that I pretty much use every gig, and if I don't use them every gig, then the times that I do have to use them, I really appreciate them and I'm really glad that I had them with me. The first thing is a black towel. Now, if you come from a classical percussion background, that's sort of a standard thing that you carry with you because you throw that towel over a music stand and make it into a trap table. You can put mallets on, you can put a triangle on, a wood block, whatever other gadgets you're playing. And sometimes as a drum set player, we might need the towel for that purpose also. It can come in handy as a sweat towel. It's good to have a couple of those because maybe one can go over a music stand. You might even use it for muffling a drum. You can throw a towel over the floor tom and kind of get a cool sound. You can also use it to muffle a snare, and you can even use your black towel for creative sound effects. And of course, you could get it in any color if you want to. I've always gotten black because it looks best on stage and people don't see it. Number 2, extra tuning keys. There's a good chance that you'll lose track of the key that you started using, and it's always good to have backups. I also like to have extra tuning keys stored in different places, like in different bags. If the one that was in my stick bag happened to go missing the day before, well, I've got my other one that's in my backpack or my other one that's in my snare case, etc. Number 3, always have duct tape or gaff tape, something like that with you at all times. You never know when you're gonna need it. I can't say that I've used it every gig, but there have definitely been a lot of gigs that I've been glad to have the duct tape. Even if it's just for taping a snare stand down to the floor. There have been times I've played drums on a drum riser that shakes a little bit while I play, and if it's an upbeat song and if I'm hitting a lot of 2 and 4s, the snare stand will actually start to hop a little bit. And so having the duct tape just to tape down those 3 stand legs can really be a lifesaver and save a lot of frustration. You never know what else you might need that duct tape for. Duct tape can solve 99% of the world's problems. I say gaff tape also because I've heard that that works better than duct tape in a lot of situations. I've had this giant roll of duct tape in my backpack for a while, and so that's what I've been stuck with using, and so that's been my tape of choice, though gaff tape is really great also. Side note here, it's also great to have other kinds of tape with you if possible, not just duct tape. Duct tape will solve about any problem that you have, but it doesn't hurt to have some scotch tape or some skin tape with you too. Number 4, a screwdriver, pocket knife, multi-tool, something like that that's got some screwdrivers, knives, scissors, pliers, things like that. It's always good to have a screwdriver if one of those screws on the inside of your drum shell were to randomly come loose and you hear it like bouncing up and down in there while you're playing. I've had that happen with a floor tom before, and so you have no choice but to take the head off, but you've got to have a Phillips head screwdriver to get that screw back in. We as drummers work with hardware all the time, and because our instruments are held up and held together by hardware, it's good to have the tools around to maintain that hardware, and if something gets loose, you want to be able to fix it as quickly as possible. And last but not least, number 5, an extra bass drum pedal. That extra bass pedal definitely doesn't have to be anything fancy. I have 2 really basic ones that came with starter kits I bought years ago. So I always try to use my good one and take that one with me, but if I were to forget it, I've got a cheap one in my car, I've got another cheap one in my wife's car, so whichever car I take to the gig, I'm gonna have a cheap backup pedal that'll at least get the job done. Now, you hope that you don't need that, and probably 99% of gigs I've played, I have not needed the extra bass drum pedal. But I started carrying an extra one with me, just always staying in the trunk of my car, after this gig I played a few years ago where I broke the pedal in the middle of the gig. The bass plate literally snapped in half and the pedal was useless, and it was pretty awful. If I'd had my other pedal there ready to go, I could have just brought that in and hooked it up, it would have been fine. But I didn't, and so I learned my lesson there. So always have an extra bass drum pedal with you. Also, you never know when you might forget your primary bass drum pedal, and if you have just an extra cheap one, like one that comes with a beginner drum set that can just live in the trunk of your car, that could also be a lifesaver if you show up to a gig and realize, oh, I forgot my bass drum pedal, because that's a pretty important piece of your drum set to have when you're playing. So tell me what your top 5 items are to have with you on every gig. Chances are they're things that I've also got in my bags. If this video helped you out or inspired you to bring an extra bass drum pedal to the gigs that you play, let me know that. Leave a comment, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and don't forget to check out some of these other videos before you go. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out these other videos and click the headshot to subscribe. New drumming tips, techniques, ideas, and product reviews every week. There's a pretty good chance you'll lose track of the key that you started